Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Consider the following statement. It is a mountain pass located between Palsdari and Khandala. It was the ancient trade route developed by Satavahana to connect the ports at Chaul, Revdanda, Panval, etc. on the Konkan coast. The above statements best describe Borghat, Palghat, Shenkota Gap, Thalghat. The answer to this is Borghat. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to Borghat Mountain Pass. Borghat Mountain Pass section is better known as the Khandala Ghat. This can also be important from the preliminary examination point of view. So when we speak about Borghat, it is also called as Borgaut. It is a mountain pass located between Palsdari and Khandala for railway and between Gopilyanand Khandala on the road route in Maharashtra. So where is it? It is in the state of Maharashtra, situated on the crest of the Western Ghats. It is located at an elevation of 441 meters elevation above the sea level, and the Ghat was ancient route developed by Satavahana to connect the ports of Chaul, Revdanda, Panval, etc. on the Konkan coast. So all these statements describe about the Borghat. Then what we have is the Thalghat. The Thalghat is a Ghat section in the Western Ghats near the Kasara in Maharashtra. So where is it? It is in the state of Maharashtra. The Thalghat is located on the busy Mumbai-Nasik route, and it is one of the major routes, rails and road routes leading into Mumbai. The railway line which passes through the Ghat is the steepest in India with a gradient of 1 in 37. This is very important from the preliminary examination point of view. Then we have the Palghat. It is located in the Western Ghats between the states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The mountain pass is located between Nilgiri Hills in the north, Annamalai Hills towards the south, and connects Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu with Palakkad in Kerala. And finally, what we have is Shenkota Gap. It is located in Western Ghats. It joins the Madurai city in Tamil Nadu with the Kottayam district in Kerala. These are very important ghats that we see in southern part of India. As part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section, are there any other important passes that you can see in the southern part of India? If so, please put it on the comment section. Now let's look into the next practice question. Morung Youth Dormitory is the place for the young boys where they learn about social practices and beliefs from their elders. It is a practice seen in the state of Chhattisgarh, Nagaland, Odisha, Uttarakhand. The answer to this is Nagaland. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to Morung. Let us try and understand what is this concept of Morung. Morung happens to be one of the institutions that is followed in the state of Nagaland by the Nagas. So what exactly happens? This happens to be an institution or a center of social life for all the unmarried male members of the society. So this is a place where the young boys learn about social practices, beliefs from their elders. So the Morung was more or less autonomous, was managed by the Council of Village Elders, and even conducting their political relations with respect to the village in this institution or a center called as Morung. In this particular region, what we also have is the instrument that is played in the Morung. Morung happens to be the youth dormitory, and in this place what they have is an instrument called as the log drum. So this happens to be an instrument that is present in this particular center. So let's say for example, if they have to conduct some of the events, or there is a celebration, or there is arrival of the enemies in this particular place, how is it announced to the rest of the people in that particular region? What they play is this log drum. Initially and traditionally, when you look into this log drum, it was only played by the men. But of late, what we have seen is the very purpose of gender equality is being served, and now what we also have is women of Wanchoi who are able to play this log drum. So initially, traditionally, it was only played by the men, but of late, women are also allowed to play it, which is espousing the very idea of gender parity. So remember, first what we have to remember is Morung, and second what we have to remember is the log drum is being allowed to be played by the women in this particular area. Now let's look into the next practice question. With respect to marginal cost of funds based lending rate, which of the following statements are correct? It is the lowest rate of fund lending. No bank is permitted to lend below this. It is determined by banks internally depending upon the loan repayment time. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to MCLR, which is why we have taken this practice question. What does MCLR stands for? It stands for marginal cost of fund based lending rate. What is this concept all about? Under the MCLR regime, banks basically adjust their interest as soon as the repo rates are changed. Who changes the repo rates? It happens to be the Reserve Bank of India. So whenever the Reserve Bank of India brings down increases whatsoever with respect to the repo rate, then it is that bank which also have to change its MCLR. Basically, what is happening? If the repo rate is reduced by the Reserve Bank of India, its ultimate purpose will also have to serve the customers of the bank as well. So what should the bank do? There is a benchmark below which they would not be able to give it to the customers, and at the same time it also increases transparency as well. So it basically opens the structure followed by the banks to calculate the interest rate on advances. This was introduced by the Reserve Bank of India back in the year 2016 to tackle problems related to the base rate regime. So we had the base rate regime. The base rate regime is now replaced by what is called as the MCLR. So the marginal cost of funds based lending was aimed to help the borrowers availing loans, home loans, benefit from the Reserve Bank of India's rate cut. That is the major objective. So what are the advantages? One, it will bring necessary transparency in the financial institutions while determining the interest rate, and at the same time they will also pass over the benefits of the reduced interest rate to the customers. So transparency increases, and this reduction of the interest rate is ultimately passed on to the customers as well, and ultimately it will ensure availability of loans to the customer that is fair to both customers as well as to the lender. This is what we have to understand with respect to the MCLR. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements are correct? Nizam ul Mulk was the first Nizam of Hyderabad. The Nizam of Hyderabad was the first to accept subsidiary alliance in 1798. Battle of Palkad was between the Maratha Empire and the Nizam ul Mulk Asaf Jah I of Hyderabad, wherein the Nizam defeated the Marathas. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 1 and 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to Nizams of Hyderabad. Let us try and understand what are these statements. When you look into the first statement, it reads Nizam ul Mulk was the first Nizam of Hyderabad. This happens to be the right statement. He is called by many other names as well. Let's say for example, Mir Kamaruddin Ka Siddiqui Baifandi. He is also known as Chin Kilinj Kamaruddin Khan. He is also known by Asaf Jah and Nizam I. These are the other names that are given to Nizam ul Mulk, who was the first Nizam of Hyderabad. He began his career as a favorite of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, but over a period of time, after the death of Aurangzeb, what you had is internal turmoil where sons of Aurangzeb wanted to fight against each other. During this period of turmoil, what we had is the neutrality that was maintained by Nizam ul Mulk. Over a period of time, when Aurangzeb died and his sons were able to battle it out, and ultimately after a long period of battle, what we have is the Hyderabad takeover by Nizam ul Mulk. So he happens to be the first Nizam of Hyderabad. So the first statement is right. When you look into the second statement, the Nizam of Hyderabad was the first to accept subsidiary alliance in 1798. This statement is also right. When we look into the data, the Nizams were hereditary rulers of the state of Hyderabad and initially governed the region on behalf of Mughal Emperor in Delhi. We did discuss about it. After the death of Aurangzeb, they became independent rulers. Nizam Ali Khan, also called as Asaf Jah II, was the Nizam of Hyderabad, and in 1790, the Nizam had allied with the Marathas and the East India Company to fight Tipu Sultan, the ruler of Mysore, in triple alliance as part of Third Anglo-Mysore War. And do note, in 1798, Hyderabad became the first Indian princely state to enter into subsidiary alliance with the British in the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War in 1799. The Nizam supported the British against Tipu Sultan. So the second statement is right. But when you look into the third statement, it is wrong. Why? That is because it is not Nizam who defeated the Marathas, but instead it happens to be the Marathas who went ahead and defeated the Nizams. So what we have is the Battle of Palakkad, and this was fought between Maratha army led by Peshwa Bajirao I and the forces of Hyderabad led by Nizam Asaf Jawan. Ultimately, it was the Marathas who won this war, and Nizam Asaf Jah was forced to agree to every term set by Peshwa Bajirao, which included abandoning the cause of Sambhaji too, and above all, accept the Maratha right to collect taxes in all of his territories in the Deccan. Now let's look into the next practice question. Who among the following translated the autobiography of Madam Curie in Hindi? Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Lal Bahadur Shastri, Chaudhary Charan Singh, Gobind Vallabh Pant. The answer to this is Lal Bahadur Shastri. So it was former Prime Minister of India Lal Bahadur Shastri who translated the autobiography of inventor of radium Madam Curie in Hindi. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2008. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion happens to be Lyme disease. This article is taken from Times of India. Let us try and understand what is this disease all about. This happens to be one of the common vector-borne disease. The Lyme disease is caused by one of the bacterium called as Borrelia burgdorferi. How is it transmitted? It is transmitted to humans through the bite of an infected black-leg ticks. Where is it seen? It is commonly seen in the northern hemisphere, especially in America and Europe, and mostly affects in spring as well as early summer. What are the symptoms? When we look at the symptoms, person going through it will basically have a lot of fever, headache, fatigue, a characteristic skin called as erythema migrans. Then he may suffer from severe joint pain, swelling, pain in tendons, muscles and bones, and at the same time there will be severe headaches, facial palsy, as well as neck stiffness as well. Can this disease be cured? Yes. What we need is to administer this person suffering from this disease oral antibiotics, and at the same time, is it seen in India? Yes. Lyme disease in the past was seen in India. There were occasions where it was seen in the state of Haryana as well, where in the year 2014, in a case series titled Lyme disease in Haryana, it mentions 4 such cases, including a 27-year-old housewife followed by a 32-year-old farmer who were bit by these insects. So do we have this instance of Lyme disease in India? In the past, what we have seen is this particular disease. How to prevent the Lyme disease? This can be prevented by avoiding exposure to all those areas with the ticks like hedges or bush, and at the same time we have to make use of the insect repellent. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this topic. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.